Okay, yesterday we did writing from graphs, and now we are going to almost do the same kind of thing, only instead of having a graph, we're just going to have either a table or a list of points. Or, yeah, 2 points. And that's all it takes. So we need to remember that the a value is going to stretch or compress our function vertically. Okay, the a is also going to reflect our function over the x-axis. Okay, our d is going to shift the function up and down. Okay, and the b is the base, and we can find the b by finding the common ratio, our multiplying pattern. Okay, so here's how this works. At this point in your life, you do not have all the mathematical tools you would have to like do this if your shift was anything but 0. So if we're just giving you 2 points like this, you just get to say that the d is 0. Okay, because otherwise I don't know how to show you how to do this at this point in your life. So we know that d is 0. That is just going to be given. Oh, and we're going to go in the same order as yesterday. We're going to go d first, and then we're going to do b, and then we're going to do a. Okay? So we already know d because I told you it's going to be 0 today. And then we're going to find our b. So to find our b, we have to find our multiplying pattern. So going from 12 to 6, we are multiplying by 1/2. And that is our b. Now we have to find our a value. Now our a value is going to come from the y-intercept. So we are going to use our b to find our a. So what we want for the y-intercept is 0 something, and we don't know what that is yet. So if I keep multiplying by b, and I do 1/2 of 6, well, ta-da, 1/2 of 6 is 3. And all of a sudden, I know what my a is because 0, 3 is my y-intercept. So that's my a. A comes from the y-intercept. Okay? So we use the b to find the a, and then we're good to go. Okay, look at this one. We are going to say that d is 0 because that's just what I told you. And then I'm going to find my multiplying pattern. So to go from 16 to 32, well, that's doubling. So I'm multiplying by 2, and that is my base. Okay. Now, on this one, if I was going -2, -1, 0, the 0 would be at the bottom of my table because it goes in order. On this guy, notice that the 0, the y-intercept, is going to be at the top of the table because it has to go in order. 0, 1, 2, yada, yada, yada. Right? So this time, instead of working forwards with my b, I'm going to use my b to work backwards. So I have to do 1/2 of 16 to get 8. And 8 is my a. Oh, I forgot to write the equation. I found all that stuff and then I forgot to write the equation. Okay, let's finish this one and then we'll go back to that one. So it's y equals 8, that's my a, times 2, that's my b, to the x plus 0. So we don't have to write that plus 0. You can if you want, but we'll just leave it like this. Now I'll write this one because I forgot to do it earlier. So we found out that our a was 3, so it's y equals 3 times, whoops, my base is 1/2, I'm going to use parentheses, power x This is my A, this is my B, and we already said we don't have to write the D if it's 0. And that's it. Okay. So the only thing that's different about this next one is that it doesn't give me the table. I have to put the points in the table by myself. So I'm going to put them in increasing order. So I'm going to start with the most negative and then go to the most positive. Okay. So I'm going to put them in order. I'm going to go -2, +2, and -1, 6. Now, I'm going to, I already know that my D is 0. Okay. And now I'm going to multiply to find out my base. So to go from 2 to 6, I'm multiplying by 3. So my base is 3. Okay, so this is the big brain part of today. Am I going to put 0 something up here, or am I going to put 0 something down here? Because I had to make my own table. Well, 0 doesn't come before -2. That doesn't make sense, so I'm not going to put it here. Okay? It goes -2, -1, 0, right? So that's where I have to put the 0. Now I can keep multiplying by 3, and 6 times 3 is 18. So my y-intercept is 0, 18, and 18 is my a value. So my equation is going to be y equals 18 times 3 to the x. This is my a, this is my b. Okay, that's it. Here's another one. We have to write the equation for an exponential function that passes through the points 1, 4, and 2, 1. So make sure you're writing them from least to greatest in the order of the x's. Okay, it's the x's that have to be in ascending order. We don't care what the y's are doing right now. So I'm going to put them in order 1, 4, and then 2, 1. Notice that my 1, 2 is ascending. It's going up. Okay. So we already know that D is 0 because that's what I told you. And then to get from 4 to 1 multiplying, I have to multiply by 1/4. So that's my B. Now, am I going to put the 0 here or here? Well, 0 does not come after 2. It comes before 1. So I'm not going to put it down here. That doesn't make any sense. Okay. So if I had to multiply by 1/4 this way, then I'd have to multiply by 4 to go backwards. So if I do 4 times 4, well, that's 16 for my a value. And my equation will be y equals 16 times 1/4 to the x. There's my a, there's my b. Ooh, that's a yawn, sorry. Okay, now we have to do a little word problem. And it's basically going to be the same thing, guys. It says, after one round of eliminations, there are 16 teams remaining in a pickleball tournament. After 2 rounds, there are 8 teams remaining. So I'm going to put that information in a table, just like the ones I made up there. So it goes 1/16, right? 1/16. And after 2, there are 8. So it goes 2, 8. Okay. So we already know that D is 0, because I told you it was. And going from 16 to 8, I am multiplying by 1/2. Now we all know that 0 comes before 1 and not after 2. So I'm going to put 0 up at the top of my table. And if I'm going backwards, instead of multiplying by 1/2, I'm going to multiply by 2. So 16 times 2, well, that's 32. And that is my A. Oh, 1/2 is my B. I forgot to say that. Okay, so I got my A, I got my B, and I got my D. I'm ready to write my equation. So that is y equals 32, that's my A, times 1/2 to the x, that's my B to the x power. I don't have to write the 0. Okay, and then I'm going to define my variables. So my x, well, what did I put over here in the x's? That's 1 round, 2 rounds, 0 rounds. So my x's are rounds. X equals rounds. And then my y's, on my y side of my table, these are how many teams are remaining. These are teams remaining. And do you have to put remaining? Yes, because there are 2 types of teams. There are teams remaining and there are teams eliminated, and those are very different numbers. So you have to specify either teams left or teams remaining. Okay, so now that I have an equation, I can really quickly find how many teams there were at the start of the pickleball tournament. Well, I mean, that's 32. 32 teams at the start. I actually got that from my table. Okay, how many teams will there be after the 3rd round of eliminations? So we can get that by extending our table. So this will be 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's all the far that I have to go right now. So if I'm multiplying by 1/2, I go 4, 2, 1. Okay, so at 3rd round, there were 4. After the 4th round, there were 2. And after the 5th round, there's just 1. The winner! The next one says, can there be a 6th round of eliminations? Well, if we already found the winner, we're not going to eliminate the winner, right? It doesn't make sense. So we would stop there because we're not going to go and eliminate one team and then have half a team competing in a pickleball tournament. So we are going to say no. The tournament is over. Somebody won, you guys. Time to celebrate. So for a reasonable domain for this situation, remember that the domain is the x's. Okay, so we're not going to have -1 be an x because that would be before the start of the tournament. We're not going to have 6 be an x because the tournament's over once we find a winner. Okay, so the x's have to go from 0 to 5 only. So the x's are going to be from 0 to 5 only. Remember doing this? Okay, and then we don't need to do number 5. It's kind of overkill. You can try it on your own. Let me know if you have questions. Bye.